Well, the H1B is a non-immigrant visa that allows foreigners to work in special occupations in the US. And currently, we're seeing a great debate on X about the H1B visa. I see there are two sides of this argument. The first is you shouldn't give away American jobs to foreigners because America should prioritize Americans. The second is that you should open up more opportunities for anyone who meets the standards to come and contribute to the United States. But these two are value judgments, so everyone is entitled to their own opinion, and this can easily devolve into conflicts of interest, potentially inviting an insane amount of ad hominem attacks. For example, people say Elon Musk is pro-immigration either because he's benefiting from this system unjustly, or they use some other extreme arguments like he was never an American because of his immigration background. The same goes for Vivek Ramaswamy as well. Or you can see the other side of this controversy, accusing them of being racial supremacists who want to selfishly prioritize their own income over America as a whole. So everyone is entitled to their own opinion, and no one's personal anecdote can convince someone from the other side, no matter how serious they may seem. So here, I don't particularly think my personal opinion can add anything, but I believe at least we can examine what data could potentially support each argument. So I'm going to present more tangible arguments and truth claims relate to this controversy so we can view it outside of this frame. Before we start the conversation, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. The first argument, the biggest elephant in the room, is that H1B workers are low-wage foreigners that companies are incentivized to hire. The data to support this argument is that H1B workers are offered lower wages at each company compared to other American jobs within the same company. And if that's impossible, then you can somewhat substitute it with wage distribution across each occupation, assuming companies would offer similar salaries for similar quality of labor. But I see some people who claim H1B workers are not low-wage workers just by presenting H1B salaries and claim their high salary directly prove that they're not low-wage immigrants. But I think this is a logical jump. You can be paid well above GDP per capita and still be underpaid for your work. That's why people come up with an arbitrary number like, oh, a six-figure job means they're not underpaid. But the point of reference is relatively determined by the job market. And if you're underpaid, then something is blocking you, such as corporate exploitation, where they secure cheaper labor. And why not? If you can do something for a cheaper price, they would definitely be incentivized to hire you. I think this has to be presented in a sort of bell curve graph, because the curves will have massive overlap. And if they don't, then it would be very unfortunate and directly support the first argument. The second argument is that the people you bring in with the H1B program are either future entrepreneurs or the top 0.1% talent. To support this argument, you can easily provide longitudinal data of either an H1B beneficiary who later created a company in the US, or out of the top, let's say 200 companies, for example, you can look into the percentage of immigrants who came through H1B. The point here is that this argument is comparing the H1B program versus other paths of immigration, because the underlying argument is that this visa program offers something that other visa programs cannot cover, such as the O1. I think if you want to support this original claim, then you can focus on the developmental nature of entrepreneurs, showing that H1B immigrants later created American jobs, even though they did not initially start with an entrepreneur status, especially when you have the data at hand. The third argument is that immigrants cause cultural blocks and exploit nepotism. I think this argument arises because more than 70% of the H1B beneficiaries are from India. Personally, this was very interesting because when you search H1B online, there are a lot of posts with the Indian flag on their profile, so it was very interesting. But an interesting part is that this argument is very hard to prove or disprove. What percentage of exploitation of the system is considered a failure the airport TSA is not perfect, so I think unless some guidelines are provided, there will be confusion around this argument. This, in some sense, connects to the first argument where people point out, oh, it's just 85,000 people, they aren't taking American jobs. Because when we discuss the institution, the number of beneficiaries does not really affect the nature of the argument. It affects the severity of the institution and whether it is tolerable. The next argument is that the selection process of H1B beneficiaries is meritocratic. I think this is very strange because on paper it says the H1B visas use a random selection process because the demand exceeds the annual cap, but our top universities in the world do not use a random selection process just because there are more applicants, especially when they assert that this institution is inviting skilled workers. So yes, this argument is highly debatable because the selection process does not align with what it purports to provide. Actually, I think you can make an assertion by providing data related to which companies hire more H1B workers and their deviation from the average percentage of H1B worker in the sector. But it's hard to prove because you can easily counter with an argument saying, no, they're not exploiting the system. They actually understand the value of that foreign labor more than anyone if their labor is given the same salary. Anyways, these are the arguments and their baselines, but I have to first admit my lack of understanding of American society, and there could be future conversations and agreements on this matter as well. But I think personally the United States has a very advanced immigration system, and I think the society reflects those ideas as well. I never really felt like I was particularly treated as a foreigner, which is very, very strange. Also, I have met a lot of students from all over the world, and there are plenty of smart people in this world. I think a country that provides a fair ground for people to manifest their potential should be regarded positively. Anyways, in my previous videos, some comments told me to go back to your home country, but very unfortunately, I'm here on a non-immigrant visa, so just to let you know that those do not influence me. It's like the tourists go home slogan in Barcelona. They go home anyways, they're tourists. And anyways, if you have any opinions or ideas, please share them in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you next time. Bye-bye.
How come the scientific establishment of the United States doesn't collapse? Let me tell you something. Some of you may not know this. America has a secret weapon. That secret weapon is the H1B. Without the H1B, the scientific establishment of this country would collapse. Forget about Google. Forget about Silicon Valley. There would be no Silicon Valley without the H1B. And you know what the H1B is? It's the genius visa, okay? You realize that in the United States, 50% of all PhD candidates are foreign-born. At my system, one of the biggest in the United States, 100% of the PhD candidates are foreign-born. The United States is a magnet sucking up all the brains of the world.